What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal SpazPhoenix, the YWC reality check, and here it is. It's the video written by all of you. This is the September Q&A. Great response for this. I don't know how many questions I have, but I'm taking them right from the question request video, and it's three sort of sections. It's like, you know, you go down the list, and it's like, okay, next page, next page, next page. There's 3 pages of questions that way. I don't know what the number is. I haven't counted them up, but greater response than the last Q&A. I've been looking for, as I've seen these questions come in, I've looked forward to doing a lot of these. A lot of people I don't really know personally, per se. A couple people that I do converse with on a regular basis, and I like that mix. I don't want you guys to think that this is, you know, some exclusive little club for, like, me and, I don't know, the guys that I talk about on a regular basis, John, Preston, Alex, etc., you know, Kara, Angela. This is for everybody. This is my way of really encouraging more people to talk, if I can be honest. But the response that this has been getting is great, and, like I say, I'm reading it right from the screen, and there's nothing too fancy about this, so let's get going. The one thing is, with screen names, unless it's something obvious, unless it's like regular words or whatever, I don't know how you want me to pronounce your screen names. So if I mispronounce it or I say it wrong or whatever, really sorry, correct me in the box below so that I will know when I ask for questions for the December Q&A. Alright, Taihe13, that's my best attempt at sounding out your name. How long until everybody stops watching WWE? Well, I know it's a statement out of frustration more than anything else, but I'll try to quantify it. It'll be bad when even the kids stop watching. Because, I mean, granted, everybody our age and older and whatever are dropping off because it's a kid's product now. Problem with that is, I don't know about you guys, kids don't want to watch a kid's product. One of the reasons I started watching wrestling when I was a kid was that it wasn't for kids, you know? It's like, it's the same, it's a really, really cheap example. When I was a kid, I used to sneak down after everybody else had gone to bed, pop on the TV, watch David Letterman, watch Jay Leno, watch all that kind of shit. I didn't really know why, other than the fact that I knew it wasn't a kid's show, and I probably wasn't supposed to be watching it. And a lot of the wrestling, when I was younger, you know, edgier storylines, etc., I knew it wasn't for me, and that was part of the fun of it. So my thought pattern has always been, nobody wants to watch a kid's product, especially kids. So when the kids completely turn off, when, you know, when they realize that John Cena sucks, and they even turn away from the product, that's when it'll die, because, let's face it, WWE has given up on the rest of the audiences. They put out bullshit a lot of the time. Anybody that saw my Raw review this week knows how I feel about that. Kids are easier to please in a lot of ways. Kids will buy anything. Kids buy Santino. Kids buy Brodus Clay. Kids buy John Cena. And if you can be successful putting out quality that's that low, then they'll stick with the kids, obviously, because it's less work for them. So my answer to that is, when nobody, not even the kids, are watching wrestling anymore, that's when everybody will stop watching. Okay, KWills812. Got a couple of questions here. Thank you for that. What do you see in Yoshitatsu's future? Unfortunately, not much. Yoshitatsu is an incredibly talented guy. Yoshitatsu is one of the main guys, one of the main, I don't want to say victims because it's the wrong word, but he's one of the main victims of the fact that WWE no longer has a cruiserweight division. If WWE had a cruiserweight division, he could be at the tippy top of that division. But because we don't, he comes into job most of the time, and he, you know, hangs out on NXT and is just kind of there. If they wrote him something to back up the talent that he's got in the ring, he could be fantastic. Also, depending on who you put him in the ring with. You put him in the ring, like they did a little while ago with a guy like Tensai, of course he's going to get demolished. If they think it's a great idea next week to book Yoshitatsu versus The Big Show, no, it's not going to go anywhere. But you put Yoshitatsu in the ring with somebody like Justin Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, or, you know, it's rumored that we're getting Alex Shelley. Yoshitatsu versus Alex Shelley, I'll take that any day of the friggin' week. Especially if they had sort of a cruiserweight division and stuff like that. Would I like to see him succeed? Yeah. Do I think he's exciting to watch in the ring? Absolutely. Do I see it happening? Unfortunately not. Unfortunately, I think the WWE cloud has sort of gone over and past Yoshitatsu, which is really, really unfortunate. Who do you think should be the guy to introduce the new WWE title when it is finished? it has to be CM Punk for a couple of reasons. Not only was the belt introduced by Cena, and CM Punk is basically the opposite of John Cena in every conceivable way possible. You've got that whole wrestler versus superstar comparison that you can always make, but CM Punk is the one that got that belt, held it up in John Cena's face, and said, I'm gonna do what nobody else in this company can do. I'm gonna make this belt entertaining and exciting again. So the ultimate way to back that up would be to get rid of the Cena spinner belt, and if they give it to anybody else currently in the product, I should say, it'll be a big miscarriage of justice, because Punk's the one that deserves to do it. Since Tyler Rex is gone, do you think it would be a good idea to reunite Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder? Absolutely. I've been saying it the past little while. I've been all over Twitter with this as well, different hashtags, etc. I would love, in a company where we've got a thrown together set of tag team champions, to bring back a past team that has a history as a team, and then to have guys like the Usos, guys like the Colognes, primetime players that sort of came to the main roster as a team. Throw in Hawkins and Ryder, the Edgeheads. You know, there's some nostalgia there as well for people that want to rub a little bit of the popularity from Edge that they can off onto them. They were a great team. I always liked them. You know, Zack Ryder, they both failed in such different ways. I mean, Kurt Hawkins got knocked down to NXT and Superstars, and Zack Ryder got to stay on Raw, but he became an absolute retard. I was a fan of Zack Ryder when he did the whole woo woo woo, you know it, like transformation of his character and whatnot. I'm not gonna lie, I was a fan of it, but it wasn't anything that was ever gonna get him anywhere. And I mean, it got him the U.S. title for what, a day? It would be a reboot for Ryder, and it would be a big boost for Hawkins. So it's all win-win as far as that goes. If you worked for WWE's creative team, how would you resurrect the fallen career of the chosen one, Drew McIntyre? The only thing I can remember Drew McIntyre doing that would deserve a reboot is the one good match he had with Orton, and I don't even remember how long ago that was. Have him, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but have him turn face and go after Antonio Cesaro in the U.S. title. Build on that. Have him struggle. Have him sort of collect some sympathy. Have him have some other mid-card feuds along the way with lower-level guys, etc. When he actually does take out Cesaro, let Cesaro have a nice long run, because, you know, good for him. He took it off Santino. He deserves something. But let Cesaro have a good run and let Drew McIntyre be eventually the one that takes it off of him. Oh, sorry, guys. But, next. Okay, that was all from K-Wills, and thank you for that. Big old handful of questions. What is your favorite finisher? This is from Extreme Rules 13. What is your favorite finisher of all time? What is your favorite finisher right now? If you could see any wrestler have one more match, past or present, who would it be, and who would you have him or her face? Okay. Favorite finisher of all... My favorite finishers of all time, really, realistically, have been the simple ones. I mean, when I saw this, I wanted to say, oh, P.D. Williams and the Canadian Destroyer, because that could kill you. But mine have always been the simple, neck breaker, stunner type moves. The RKO, the Diamond Cutter, which is virtually the same thing, the Stunner, the Twist of Fate, all those ones that just, you, face first, down. They make the most sense. The ones that take a lot to set up, like... the pedigree, the kill switch, and all that take a couple seconds to set up, don't ever seem realistic to me. Favorite finisher of all time, favorite finisher right now, probably the RKO. Favorite finisher of all time has got to be the Stunner. I hate to be boring like that, but it really is the case. If you could see any one wrestler have one more match, past or present, who would it be, and who would you have him or her face in a match? That's simple. Bring back Edge, triple threat match, Edge, Punk, Hardy, have it at WrestleMania, have it be a ladder match if you want to, but that's not even a necessity. And yeah, you've got a winner right there. Extreme Rules 13, thank you very much for those questions. James Edward Russell says, who is your dream opponent for WrestleMania, for Undertaker at WrestleMania? It can be past performers and present. I don't want to pick a past performer, because if they're not there anymore, then whatever. Current performers, who would I like to see? I would love to see Orton in this age now where guys are coming back for a second crack at The Undertaker, like Shawn Michaels, like Triple H, like Kane did. I'd love to see Orton come back and say, I want one more shot. I'd love to see CM Punk at the level that he's at right now say, you know, there's only one thing I've really never done. Undertaker, you and me, let's go at WrestleMania. As far as younger guys, the way they're building up Wade Barrett to come back would be a great competitor for American Badass Undertaker, but I don't think they're ever going to bring back that gimmick. And the last, and probably would be the top of my list, would be Ziggler. You want to show off, you really want to, you know, you're here to show the world, go to WrestleMania and show the world what you can do with The Undertaker. There's 4 examples right there. Punk, Orton, Barrett, Ziggler. Alright. Again, Taihi 13. Really, guys, put it down in the box below. Tell me how I'm supposed to pronounce these. What do you see in JTG's future? Hopefully, especially in this age where we're going for all this entertainment, comedy bullshit with Brodus Clay, Santino Marella, Damian Sandow. I really hope WWE realizes the entertainment value of JTG, because JTG is a funny fucker. He gets the crowd going whether anybody wants to admit it or not, and his matches aren't bad at all. He puts on a better match than Santino any day of the week, and Santino's been crammed down our throats for, what, the past year or so? I would love to see him come to WWE. I'm not saying that he's going to go to the moon. I'm realistic enough to say that, but I could see him being a decent US title holder. Have him lose the tights that whatever one of the divas gave him and go back to, you know, the jeans and the bling and the gimmick that makes him as fun as he is. I don't know why they ever watered that down, because even that didn't get him on TV. Bring him on, have him be a good solid mid-carder. He deserves it. You took away his tag team partner, you fucked him over that way, or his partner left, or whatever the hell happened. But as soon as Crime Time broke up, you had a shitty sort of tag team breakup story. Shad disappeared and you buried him on NXT. Crime, indeed. Moving on. Another one I don't know how to say. Chine815, whatever. Gave me 5 questions. Alright. I felt the WWE's version of ECW ended in a shitty way. How would you have handled it? Here's my deal with this. I never would have created ECW again. That's my thing. I never would have said, okay, this is our company's version of another company, because it wasn't. Let's face it, WWE, even back then when they recreated ECW, it wasn't going to be ECW. I don't claim to be the most knowledgeable. I can speak, I swear, and I'm going to get the t-shirt eventually. I won't ever claim to be the most knowledgeable person about ECW and its history and whatnot, but I know you can't do it with a large worldwide company like the WWE. The critics would come at you from everywhere. If you were going to create a show for new guys, which is basically what WWE's ECW was, basically create your own show. Do what they did with NXT, or do what they've done now with this sort of rebranded new version of NXT. Because that's what they did. I mean, ECW, although it wasn't ECW, cranked out a hell of a lot of stars. It gave us Sheamus, for better or for worse. It gave us Swagger, I think. It gave us Punk. It gave us John Morrison. It gave us, well, a continuation of The Miz. A lot of good things came out of ECW. I just never would have given it the ECW label. If they had created NXT back then, we would be crediting in NXT with the creation of probably, you know, CM Punk, who's like the greatest thing in wrestling right now. But no, we didn't, and then we went through the shitty version of NXT that was run like a reality TV show, and now they've got this merge with FCW, and they've got their own arena at the Full Sail University, and now they're all doing great. If they had done this back then, instead of creating this neutered version of ECW that never went anywhere, and it just kind of, Vince McMahon came out on the show one night and said, yeah, this isn't happening anymore, it introduced us to a lot of stars, but as a show, it was a blip on the radar, so I wouldn't have handled it at all. Second question is, what titles would you like to see return to the WWE? First of all, scrap the Divas title, because it's a piece of shit. Women's wrestlers are women's wrestlers. Give them the proper respect. Give them the Women's Wrestling Championship. And get rid of the butterfly, because that's about as condescending as you can get. Cruiserweights need a place to be. Your Justin Gabriels, your Yoshitatsus, like I just spoke about, your JTGs, like I just spoke about. I've done videos on this, guys. You've got enough lightweight guys in the WWE, you could have a cruiserweight division tomorrow. They need a place to be. You keep putting them up against bigger guys, and no offense to the Rey Mysterio fans out there, but you get Rey Mysterio syndrome. You can only watch Rey Mysterio beat the Big Show so many times before it's just like, okay, WWE doesn't know what to do with small guys. Give them that title. if it wasn't down to, you know, PG bullshit, I would say bring back the hardcore title. The 24/7 rule made everything a lot more fun, but even that in this day and age would seem like it had its nuts chopped off. So that is that. Who needs to be fired from Oh shit, wrong question. Number 3, name your top 5 wrestlers who deserve a WWE World Title reign right now. Okay. World Title reign, or WWE title reign, Cody Rhodes, Ziggler, even though we know we're going to get there shortly. Give Barrett a shot, see how he does. I'm not entirely into that one. Because his world title reign eventually ended up getting buried, I'd say give Miz another crack at the title. I don't really know anybody else. I mean, if Jericho wants to come back and hold the title for a little bit, it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. Sometime between now and WrestleMania, The Rock's going to hold the title again. Like I say, nobody else has been built up enough for me to believe that they deserve a world title. I'm not saying that none of them are talented. I'm just saying the way WWE's presented them, I don't really know who else to suggest. But there's a few. Who do you want to see fired from TNA? Is there any other answer but Robbie E? Really? I don't think so. Robbie E is my answer. 5, what are your thoughts on the somewhat comparisons between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, and do you think they will ever fight regardless of what organization or sport? I heard the comments when Lashley debuted, and they were calling him Black Lesnar and things like this. I mean, they were two intimidating guys that had similar pyro. Other than that, I didn't see it. You'd get a better answer for a question like this off of somebody that did think that they were similar, and they could maybe get into the reasons why. I didn't see it. Other than, you know, their entrance was kind of similar. I mean, I don't think Bobby Lashley got anywhere near the reputation and the, I guess, the path to destroy in WWE that Lesnar did. I think the biggest thing Bobby Lashley ever did was the Battle of the Billionaires hair versus hair match. And I mean, if that's the biggest thing you do in your career, then I know he's into some form of MMA now, or he was, and I know he was going to try and do MMA and TNA at the same time, and that fell flat on its face as early as it was announced. And, you know, Lesnar is doing what he's doing now, getting a full year's paycheck for showing up every couple of months. So, yeah, I don't even know. The RG Rich Porter, I think is the name. I'm going to read you guys this paragraph, and I'm not trying to call anybody out on this, but in this, I don't really know what the question is. So I'm going to put this out there. If somebody can interpret this a little better for me, maybe I'll tack it onto my next Q&A, and I will, you know, throw in my apologies along with it. Ring psychology is the ability to understand crowd and be able to know how to work the crowd. So if we can all see that Cena doesn't understand it and never will, surely people at the top and the agents can see it too. I've never heard anyone tell a story or a shoot saying that they tried to help this prick. That's all it says, with a bunch of question marks afterwards, so I don't know what the question is there. Does Cena have ring psychology? No. Has anybody ever tried to help him with his ring psychology? Probably. The company probably tried to find anybody they could to help him out, to say, hey, this is the guy we're going to push to the moon, we might as well try and make him look like a wrestler. But I'm not entirely sure what the question is there. I'm sorry about that. His other question, however, is after his run with Sheamus, who do you see Dolph Ziggler having a feud with over the world title next? Oh. Much as I hate Sandow, I'd love to see Sandow try and fail. I'd love to see the returning Barrett, depending on how good it is, but I'm already excited for Wade Barrett's return, and I'm predicting good things. So Wade Barrett, anybody that's not Sheamus at this point, really. But if Ziggler goes face, I could see Ziggler Miz for the World Heavyweight Championship. Wouldn't have a problem with that whatsoever. Okay, Laurel Lewis. What's your dream WrestleMania card for this year, and how would you book Ziggler, Rhodes, and The Miz? Ziggler... Okay. If I could make it happen somehow, I would want Ziggler versus Shawn Michaels, for Shawn Michaels to come back for one more match. Rhodes, I want to see go against Punk. Miz, I want to see be the next guy that Jericho puts over. How about that? Which former WWE superstar would you like to see return? Jeff Hardy. Top of the fucking list. Oh, yes. Do we think we need former divas to help build the current divas? No, and I'll tell you why for 2 reasons. Number 1. divas were able to do a lot more back then. If anybody ever saw the Raw that Trish Stratus and Lita were the main event of, Lita nearly broke herself in half. WWE isn't going to let past divas fight the way they fought back then in today's product. So we'd be excited to see them, and then their performance would be watered down, and it wouldn't be any fault of their own. So it's no good for them. And I'm sorry, even the divas that I like in WWE currently wouldn't match up to, say, a Lita or a Trish Stratus or a I'll laugh while I say this, but Chyna. Can you imagine any current WWE diva, with the possible exceptions of maybe Tamina or Beth Phoenix, trying to stand toe-to-toe with Chyna believably? I would love to see an athlete like an Eve Torres lock it up with Lita. I would love to see Trish Stratus hand Kelly her ass on a platter. I really, really would, but that's just me. And that's his last question, so thank you, Laurel Lewis. Next page. Dre the Kid says, there is talk in the locker room that JTG has had enough of WWE. He wants to speak out, but nobody is backing him up except Shad, who wants to come back to the WWE and help JTG. What are your thoughts? Please respond in video. JTG did speak out. He did his big Twitter. I didn't read a lot of it because I knew most of it, or I had heard most of it was just him shooting off at the mouth. And at that point, I was just hoping that it didn't get him fired. The only one backing him up is Shad. I don't know how much weight that really carries because Shad's not with the company. So, yeah, Shad can stand behind his buddy and be supportive, but as far as the WWE goes, like, how much weight does that carry? I would wonder almost if that's a positive or a negative. Okay, you had to go outside of the wrestling world just to get somebody that agrees with you, type thing. I don't know about that. Shad wanting to come back to WWE? Absolutely. I would take it any day of the week. Crime Time? Fantastic team. Fantastic. Funny team. They got the crowd into everything. They weren't the best in-ring performers, and I will freely admit that, but they were that great fast guy and power guy combination. I'll say that. If WWE comes down hard on JTG for speaking his mind, obviously it's bullshit. I mean, I'm up here in Canada, but I know the States, you have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, all that sort of thing. And if Shad wants to come back to WWE and reform Crime Time, I will be the first one on here with a markout video. I promise you that. Thank you for that. Witness to the Wade. And I'm really wondering, so Witness to the Wade, tell me in the comment section below, is that a Wade Barrett reference, or is it something that I totally don't pick up on? What character do you personally feel the most compelled to root for in current day WWE? One answer, CM Punk. And it's not because it's the cool thing to do, or I like his attitude, or I'm this big anti-establishment guy, even though most of those guys do catch my attention. Everything CM Punk says in a promo, whether it's written by him, whether it's coming from his own heart, whether it was what he was sent out there with a script to say, is everything that the fans want to say. He knows it's bullshit that he had to fight Lawler this past week on Raw. He knows it's bullshit that he, the champion, and the championship are not the main events at pay-per-views. He knows that this idea, you know, that famous line, I don't hate you, John Cena. I hate this idea that you're the best because you're not the best. And the fact that I'm not main eventing WrestleMania is bullshit. And all this, and then he starts calling out Vince on people that he's fired, people like, or people that have left or whatever, like Heyman and Lesnar and, you know, I'm trying to think of who else, Shelton Benjamin and D.H. Smith and you know, Chris Masters and all those guys. When he takes his shots and says, hey, what would happen if I showed up with this belt at ROH or in New Japan, or I would have really loved him to say TNA, but that would have been a little too close to the vest. I follow CM Punk and I buy what he's selling because I want to buy it, and I don't have to buy it because we've all already been saying it. You know, everybody else is being held down for John Cena. You have stellar matches between CM Punk and Daniel Bryan that are buried by John Cena versus The Big Show. These are the things that we come on here. We come on forums like YouTube and Dailymotion and Twitter and Tout and Facebook and everything else. This is the same stuff that he's spitting on the microphone is the same stuff that we get up here on our cameras, on our microphones, etc., and speak. So he speaks from his own heart, obviously, but he speaks from our heart. And when somebody's doing that as well as he does it, you know, combine that with his great... I can speak, I swear, gonna buy the t-shirt. Combine the truth of what he's saying with the skill of his delivery, plus the fact that he's outstanding in the ring. You can't... You really can't back anybody else as far as, like, genuinely being compelled to root for somebody or be in somebody's corner. Nothing sells more than somebody that agrees with you, I guess, is the lesson there. But the answer is CM Punk, straight up. Mr. Travis, 2010, do you think when Linda McMahon is done losing the Senate seat, we can get out of the PG era? No. I think PG stuff is easier to write. You know, a guy goes out there and says, I'm the best. Another guy goes out there and says, no, you're not the best. Every time I go out to the ring, I have to believe that I'm the best. Well, no, I'm the best. Well, no, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best. We're going to have a match and find out who's the best. It's simple, lazy writing. They can dress it up as saying it has to be simple for the kids, but they don't have to put any effort into it. When we get out of the PG era, we won't get out of the PG era. This is my personal opinion, and, you know, don't take it to the bank or anything like that. We will get out of the PG era when WWE has competition again. WWE will have competition again, then they will be forced to push the envelope again. WWE, a lot of the time these days, it feels like they're not trying, but at the same time, if you were in their shoes, you can almost understand, not that I excuse it, but you can almost understand it. They're not trying because they don't have to. And as soon as they have to try again, that's when they will start pushing the envelope again. This is why, more than anything else, yes, I'm a fan of TNA. I want TNA to succeed so that WWE will try harder. If that makes any sense at all. If it doesn't, please toss your opinions down in the box below if you think I'm totally full of crap or whatever, as you always can do. Do you think Hogan is the #1 issue in TNA? I'm not going to be very popular with this, but the answer is absolutely not. This question is also from Travis Mr. 2010. Absolutely not. What's killing TNA? Well, there's a couple of things. They have guys that nobody knows and guys that people are sick of, and not very much in between. You got the Stings and the Hogans and people from that era. They had Nash there for a while. They recreated the NWO for a while, etc., etc., etc. And then you've got the young guys who are great, like, you know, you got AJ, you got Aries, you got all those guys who are fantastic, but nobody on the world stage knows who they are, which is unfortunate. You have to reach that middle ground. It's the same thing with WCW. WCW had great cruiserweights and great older established wrestlers, and nothing really to hook the audience. If you can hook the audience, you'll do fine. Also, they're always in the same arena, so it's lazy. That whole idea goes stale. And to go along with that, they always are in smaller venues, so the crowd is small. I don't care whether you're one of that crowd or whether you're watching it on TV at home. Less crowd is less exciting. It's true, and it's got nothing to do with the work in the ring. If there's a bigger crowd, the show has a bigger feel, and you can't avoid that. You can put on the best match of your life. If you do it in a school gymnasium, nobody saw it. They need to get, because they have a following, I guess. I mean, especially when they go over to the UK and places like that, they fill friggin' stadiums, and we've seen them do that and whatever. They don't have that here. If they could, you know, get out of their comfort zone a little bit, no pun intended, by getting out of the impact zone, going out more, finding larger venues, etc., get a bigger crowd. A big crowd attracts a big crowd. That's another thing that'll do it. And they need to put out a star that is universally recognized in the world of wrestling that isn't somebody that we already know. That isn't a Kurt Angle or a Jeff Hardy or a Sting or whatever. Those are a couple of things that are... It's so easy to say, oh, well, Hogan's a cancer on televised wrestling, and as soon as he hit the show started to suck. Well, that's not the case, really, is it? Whether you like it or not, Hogan being part of TNA was one of the bigger things to happen to it. So, you know, people that are making comments like that are just, you know, people that generically hate on Hogan and are looking for a reason to bash him. All right. Travis Mr. 2010, again, do you ever see Batista returning to wrestling? I'd love to see it. I really don't know what he would do at this point. I mean, I'd love to see him go face-to-face with Cena again, but he'd just get thrown under the bus as another big name that Cena owned. I don't know how much of a great technical match he'd be able to have with somebody like a CM Punk or a Daniel Bryan. I wouldn't want to put him this low on the card, but I'd love to see Batista versus Ryback. Just sort of monster versus animal, that kind of thing. Batista was always an intriguing character, you know, more so when he was a heel, obviously. But, I hate to say this, I almost want to say no because I don't know what they would do with him, but I know that if he showed up on my TV tomorrow, I would be marking out, so I can't really say that, can I? Streets, what the hell does that say? Streets Ghost 878. How would you book, oh, here we go. How would you book Jeff Hardy's return in the WWE? One answer to that. Surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, send him to WrestleMania for the title. And I know I'm going to get a barrage of people that, oh, why do people come back and get handed the title right away? Da-da-da-da-da. If we can do it for all the other people we've done it for, we can do it for Jeff Hardy. Oh, yes. What's your favorite finishing move right now? Twist of Fate, Swanton Bomb, RKO, Stunner. All that sort of thing. Alright, Phenom and Hitman 2. Why did the 619 loyalist, aka Preston, close his channel? That's really not for me to say. He did, and came back as the 619 Apocalypse for a little while, and left and came back as the masked warrior of 619, I want to say. You know, Preston's doing his thing. He's going to do what he wants, and for me, I'm not going to speak to his motives on anything, because it's not my place to do so. If you want to know why he closes and opens anything, you can hop over to his channel and ask him. Dalyxman! Ha ha ha! Good stuff, Alex. Here we go. What are your thoughts on Chavo Guerrero overall? Now, first of all, backstory to this. Alex and I had a brief debate over Chavo Guerrero when he was introduced into the TNA roster. But Chavo Guerrero is a great wrestler. Chavo Guerrero is another one of those guys that will do well if he's in the ring with somebody that will allow him to do well. He will do well if WCW was still around and had their cruiserweight division. He will do well because he's got a cool tag team partner right now in Hernandez. And again, like Crime Time, they'll be able to do that, you know, strong guy, fast guy combination. If he ever gets into the X division, then wow, Z-Mayon better go, you know, hide somewhere. Great wrestler overall. People are always comparing him to friggin' Eddie, which you can't do. Eddie got handed the ball and got pushed to the moon and became a multiple-time world title holder, etc., etc., etc. Chavo's mic skills aren't that great. Whatever. I don't care. The guy's fun as hell to watch in the ring. The guy got buried. Lost the ECW championship to Kane at WrestleMania in like 2 seconds, and ever since then they had him jobbing to everybody. They made him part of the Vicky Edge, Big Show, Hawkins Ryder family thing for a while, and then they had him jobbing to friggin' Hornswoggle. So, no, he wasn't, you know, stellar, top of the roster, main event guy, but WWE really pulled the rug out from under him, so what do you want to say there? If TNA gives him a spot, a roster spot, a prominent spot to show what he can do, Chavo Guerrero could be a sleeper. Chavo Guerrero could be a great thing for TNA if done properly. I mean, who wouldn't want to see sort of maybe AJ and Chavo versus Daniels and Kaz? Just putting it out there, it could be a great high-flying match. Chavo Guerrero versus Joe. Chavo Guerrero versus Kurt Angle, for sure. Yeah, Chavo Guerrero, great talent. Was good. He's good when he's allowed to be good. He had a great place in WCW. In WWE, when he was in Los Guerreros, that was a great tag team. You know, again, they always played it off that, you know, Chavo was riding on his uncle's coattails, which was always ridiculous in my opinion. Great talent overall, very, very underappreciated, very, very underrated is the word that will probably follow Chavo until he's done in wrestling. Moving on, Alex. Name 3 feuds you'd like to see take place in the WWE that haven't been done yet. Rhodes versus Punk. Lesnar versus Orton. If one of them turns face, Ziggler versus Miz. There you go. If Shawn Michaels was to return to wrestle inside the ring, would you be happy about it, or would you feel like he's too old to do so? Shawn Michaels can do whatever he wants. He's one of those guys. Shawn Michaels, I don't think he would come back unless he had something to offer. Shawn Michaels is not nearly at that Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, why the fuck are you still here stage. I know some people say that he is, and you're entitled to your opinion as long as you realize that you are wrong. Shawn Michaels could still go. Every time he returns now, even to do sort of a guest spot, he always ends up getting his ass kicked by somebody to pursue another storyline. So if he wanted to come back for one more match, I've said it earlier in this video, I would love to see him have just one match with Dolph Ziggler. I think that would do fantastic things. Because the way Dolph Ziggler sells, he'd get Sweet Chin Music and end up in the third row. And that would be amazing. Oh... If you could make a celebrity versus wrestler match with any wrestler and any Hollywood celebrity, who would it be? It would be my fave five. You know, Punk, Orton, Rhodes, Ziggler, and Miz versus Chris Angel, Dave Draymond, Chester Bennington, Charlie Sheen, and... who's the last one I want to throw on here? Ed Byrne. And if you guys don't know who stand-up comedian Ed Byrne is, go look him up. But there you go. Chris Angel, Dave Draymond, Chester Bennington, Charlie Sheen, and Ed Byrne versus CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton, and The Miz. Oh yes. Okay, here we go. Alex is doing some boss trolling. How does it feel to know that your opinion is so valuable now that the Big Show had to message you on Twitter? Anybody that doesn't know what this is about, go back, and I've made a video called Apparently I Pissed Off the Big Show. I was commenting, tweeting along with Raw. I was shitting all over another Cena versus Big Show main event, and I actually got a message in my private inbox on Twitter telling me I don't know about psychology, I don't know about storytelling, and Big Show saying he's the best technical wrestler in the business and that I'm a moron and should keep my mouth shut. Big Show's the greatest technical storyteller in the WWE. Oh no. No. Anyways, comment got removed and withheld. Interesting. Do you see a rivalry between Cody Rhodes and Dolph Ziggler over the World Championship? Yes, if Ziggler goes face. If Ziggler goes face, which we all know he can, which half of us would love him to do after he gets rid of Vicky, I could definitely see it. Rhodes coming out being very somber and very monotone in his promos and all that sort of thing, and also being the smaller guy with a little bit of bitterness and a little bit of chip on his shoulder, versus Ziggler, who's got the cocky show-off attitude and could rub it in his face that Rhodes couldn't get as high as him. I mean, if you think about it, at one point we were looking at Cody Rhodes and Dolph Ziggler on the same page. It was like Ziggler had an amazing US title run, Rhodes had an amazing Intercontinental title run. They both resurrected their respective, championships and whatnot. They went into Money in the Bank. I would have bet money that it was going to be Ziggler or Rhodes. I actually said that it should have been Rhodes because Ziggler could get to the world title without a briefcase and Rhodes needed the boost. So to go from where we thought these guys were very, very equal to where Rhodes is kind of wallowing in obscurity for the moment, he could use that frustration and lash out against Dolph Ziggler, and that would be enough to piss off the show off, and we could have a hell of a feud right there if WWE booked it properly. And on to the last page. Beavis1190. When do you think Dolph Ziggler will cash in his Money in the Bank? I think it could be at SummerSlam, and it could save that match between Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio. Also, do you think Cody Rhodes will get his chance to be world champion? They need to get it off Sheamus anyway. Yes, ultimately we need to get the belt off Sheamus. That's just the way it needs to be. Ziggler, I would have said SummerSlam. The way that match ended in such a bullshitty fashion, I thought it was a perfect setup for him to come and cash in, but, they've had him do the rivalry with Jericho instead, and now it looks like they're sending him into a rivalry with Orton, which will be fantastic as well. So if they want to give him a couple of these big feuds to get under his belt before he cashes in Money in the Bank, no particular problem whatsoever. If they're going to revisit this match once again at Night of Champions, and it doesn't look like Ziggler's doing anything just yet, for Ziggler to interrupt in that match, I think would be a great spot. If not, the next big 4 pay-per-view will be Survivor Series, and, the show-off might want to get his title victory on a larger stage, or, I don't know where the time frame sits, but wouldn't it be funny if he was the first one to cash in at WrestleMania? Let something big happen. Let it be, you know, Orton versus Barrett. Put the title back on Orton for some reason. Let Barrett win the Rumble. Let those two have a fantastic match, and whoever wins gets fucked over by Ziggler. There's your show-off moment right there. Cody Rhodes... Will Cody Rhodes eventually get to be world champion? I think so. I think eventually the fact, like, what the great performer that he is in the ring will be something that the WWE can't deny anymore. I think they need to give him more big feuds. I think they've put... they had Ziggler with Morrison. They had Ziggler with Orton. They've done Ziggler-Orton before. They did Ziggler and Jericho. They've done Ziggler and Ray. And those big feuds let Ziggler show how great he is. Now, Rhodes has had his matches with Mysterio as well. Rhodes has had his matches with Orton as well. Keep feeding him matches like that. Don't have him get squashed on Raw by Brodus fucking Clay. Get him back on the right track, and I would believe Cody Rhodes as a world champion today. I know there's a lot of people that don't or wouldn't or whatever, and I know there's a lot of people that don't even want Ziggler to be champion, and to which I say pull your head out of your ass, because some of the people that we used to love as champion aren't coming back. I could see Rhodes, if they stop pouring the bullshit on him, being a champion in the next 6 months. But it all depends on whether WWE sees that or not. Because WWE, as far as they're concerned, their next big contender is going to be Wade Barrett, and he's not even back yet. So, I don't know. Do I think he will? I think eventually they'll have to. Do I think he deserves it? I think he deserves it now. That's the end of that. And Paramore 233 says, what's your take on the Divas in general, and what does the future hold for them? Hopefully, more time. Hopefully more time. And this is where I go into what I said before. Get rid of the butterfly belt. Bring in the proper women's championship again. What I would love to see them do, and I mentioned this in other videos before, scrap the Divas title. Bring back the women's title. Have a championship tournament. Let one match of the tournament happen each week on Raw and give it a decent amount of time. Like, give them a 10-minute match. The ones that can do it. And the ones that can't do it will show. And those are the ones that shouldn't be in title contention. But, you know, have one match a week. Keep reminding us what the brackets are. Build it up like a big thing. And when it gets to the finals, whatever pay-per-view that the final match is on, give it a video package. Give it proper build. Don't just say, these are the divas that are fighting this month, and give them a 3-minute fuck-off match so that everybody can go take a piss and come back. How seriously we take the women's division is directly reflective of how WWE treats them, and WWE really is treating them like crap recently. Like, the only reason they made a big deal of making a #1 contender for Night of Champions is that it is Night of Champions, and the big focus is on, hey, every title's going to be defended. If it wasn't for that, then I don't even think we'd see divas on the show, sadly. Especially now when we have talented people. We have, you know, Beth Phoenix, who's been on again, off again, on again, off again, and whatever. I think she got kept off TV because she got a black eye. It's like, okay, she's badass. Wouldn't you want to put that on TV? You got Natalya from the Hart family, who had a farting gimmick. You have Eve Torres, who, you know, as much as I loved her backstage character, here's a girl with proper amateur wrestling training. Here's a girl with proper, you know, MMA and jiu-jitsu training. Why would you not have this girl on TV, in the ring every week? You've got Caitlyn, who's a little green, but very, very intriguing. You got AJ, who everybody's shitting on right now, but for the size of her, she can get a hell of a lot done in the ring. And then you've got the ring getting polluted up with the Alicia Foxes and the Kelly Kellys of the world, who just need to fuck off and go somewhere else. We got rid of the Bellas, we can get rid of Kelly Kelly for sure. And guys, thanks for hanging in for what has now become a 45-minute fucking Q&A. This has been fantastic. You guys know the drill. At the beginning of October, I will put out another video requesting questions. You'll toss the questions on the bottom of that video, and December will be the last Q&A for 2012. This has been fantastic. This has been a lot of fun. I can't thank you guys enough for the response that I've gotten for this Q&A. It beat the other one by leaps and bounds. Love each and every one of you for all the participation. I love being able to reach out to all of you guys. This has been a lot of fun. I am losing my voice, hence the water, etc. So I'm gonna call it a video, because that's what it is. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all of our conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging out. Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Get up, come on.